Namaste. My name is Vivekanand and welcome to this Hangout on Air. This is going to be a special episode in a way that I have started the Showcase app so that I can put all the links that I would be talking about on the Showcase app, and you can see the links there, and the viewers, even from the recording, can see the links and use them. Okay. This is the 14th episode in a series that I have started with a view to help entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of ideas and would like to succeed with lots of projects. My little timer thing. Okay. This is the episode which concludes the theory part of PRINCE2, the projects in controlled environments. I have great pleasure in welcoming David Leopold. As usual, he has been supporting all along. On the agenda today, as usual, we begin with just a minute where each of us takes center stage and gives 60-second elevator pitch, followed by a short presentation covering the topic of the day. In this episode, I am bringing together the theory that we covered in all previous episodes. Then we shall have a discussion sharing experiences and insights. Now that we have covered lots of theory in the last 13 episodes, after that I shall explain what next. As in previous episodes, I aim for half an hour, but I would not dare to cut off the discussion when it is lively and adding value. As David said in one of his HOAs, when the discussion is flowing, we keep going.
What a wise man. Oh my Lord.
We have come to just a minute section. Each of us will have a minute each, and we shall give you our 60-second elevator pitches. Within a minute, each of us will try to explain why anyone should contact us, how it would be helpful for them, and how they can connect and contact with us. There will be a penalty if I go over a minute, which is meant to be fun. The penalty is you'll have to say the sentence, integrate, simplify life 3 times. Penalty for me would be decided by David. Let me start the whole thing going. I have a 1 minute timer going here. Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. Wake Technology is my company. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my beliefs with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said, simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Here's my simple way. Avoid the cowboys, work with the Indian. Let the Indian handle technology. And you live an integrated, simple life. Maybe you have lots of projects and you're struggling to find someone who can integrate and simplify. Contact me through my Google Plus page or my website, waketechnology.com. Hope that came in within 60 seconds. it's our guest's turn now.
55 seconds, Vivek. Good job.
It's your turn, David.
Well, don't turn the timer on yet.
Oh, by the way, my banner is missing.
Oh, your banner! Shame on me. I should have remembered that your banner is missing. It has all that valuable contact information.
Yeah.
And for the folks who are viewing, just to make things clear, I'm the cowboy and Vivek is the Indian. In case they were, in case they were wondering. But don't avoid the cowboy. But I have no problem with telling you to hire the Indian. I have no problem whatsoever. But don't avoid the cowboy. And the other thing is to all our friends in Canada, I'd like to wish them a happy Thanksgiving. I just saw on the calendar that it's Thanksgiving Day in Canada. Mm-hmm. And to all the folks living in the United States, I guess I would say a happy Columbus Day. This is the day that we commemorate the discovery of the North America, United States. Is there anything going on in the UK that we need to commemorate, Vivek?
No, not really. No, we actually not particularly in UK. Last week we concluded the Dasara festival, which is a 10-day thing. This is in India. It's a festival where goddess Durga, who is supposed to destroy all demons and evil, conquers over the evil, and it's celebration of that. It's a 10-day affair. There's a celebration for 10 days, and yeah, it's over anyway. Yeah.
Well, we're in good shape though, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Vivek was a saint. Didn't I read that someplace?
Not me. I am named after a saint. Yes. So anyway, okay. Yeah, it's your.
Yeah, I've used up most of my minute, but let me quickly say I am Small Biz David, and literally this last weekend I publicly launched the Small Biz David Foundation. By the end of today, and I'm almost there, we will have a community page in Google+, so I urge everybody to visit that page to see what we're all about and how you can get involved. I stayed under my minute on that one.
Yes, you did. You always do, David.
Well, I try to simplify. I integrate and I simplify. You know, I want to keep it very simple.
Okay. Yeah, we have now come to the topic of the day. Today it's going to be slightly different in that it's not one story. I'm actually bringing together multiple stories, not stories as such, remind you of what we did in the last 13 episodes and bring out the important points of each of them. Unusually, I will have to start doing a screen share. So I will be pinning you, David, again, and share your thoughts.
Well, my first thought, oh my goodness, my first thought is that because the format is changing a little bit today, are we not going to have a Star Trek adventure today?
we can remember lots of them, not one. Lots of them.
Well, just if anybody has not seen a Prince2 episode that you've produced, and I've been there with you, I urge them to, because one of the things I really look forward to every week was seeing what Star Trek episode that you were going to focus in on and share the story of that particular episode with what you were talking about for the day in Prince2. It was a great thing that you did on that, Vivek. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's as you can see on the screen now. It's actually another science fiction. No, no, not really. I'm not entirely talking about that. But have you heard of Back to the Future?
Are you asking me if I've heard of Back to the Future? Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we are going back.
Christopher, can't think of his last name.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Okay. This was the launch episode, episode 1. This was launched on 14th July. 14th July actually happens to be my sister's birthday. I have twin sisters, but anyway, that's a separate.
I did not know that, Vivek. I knew you had a sister. I did not know it was a twin sister.
Yeah, I have twin sisters, and they were born on 14th.
Oh, I thought you said you had
No, not my.
Twins.
No, not my. I have two sisters who are twins.
Twins. Okay, gotcha.
In this launch episode, in addition to David F. Leopold, who has been supporting me throughout, we had Ray Hiltz and Scott Scowcroft as our honored guests. Why Prince2 was the question we answered during that episode. Effective use of existing resources is the short answer. I covered basic principles of Prince2 and explained what Prince2 stands for. This was the mind map that I showed during the first episode. This mind map shows the foundation of Prince2. We covered why Prince2 is relevant for small businesses. And this is the second episode. In this second episode, we had Scott Scowcroft and Jessica Duell as our honored guests, in addition to David Leopold.
Who's that king? Vivek. Or Saint Vivek.
and if you didn't notice, yeah, I tried wearing this hangout effect crown for a while. But found it to be too distracting for me. So I thought it would be a good thing to wear for each episode. But because the episode is Prince2, Prince is supposed to wear a crown. But anyway.
There you go.
In this episode 2, we covered basic concept of business case for a project. We covered why a business case is required, how it is different from a typical business plan. Business plan you typically create so that you can show it to your venture capitalist or your bank manager, and often that's one which gets spiral bound and locked away in some safe, and people hardly ever go back to that. But business case is very much different from that. That was the aspect we covered in this particular episode. We covered why business case is required, how it is different from typical business plan, and what does a business case look like. This is the definition of project as per PRINCE2. Just to emphasize it, I am reading what's already on this slide. A project is a temporary organization that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case. In fact, all the words in that whole sentence are very, very important. It's the definition of a project. So temporary. David, you had a few questions last time why it's temporary, it should be permanent and so on. So your business should be permanent, but not the project.
If you notice a posting I did today, Vivek, to actually tell folks about today's event, posted a couple hours ago. It was, I basically said, why should you have, I didn't use the word business case, but I did use the words process. Why should your small business have a process? And I think it was in this particular episode, was it not, that you actually started to talk about the process?
No,
Later.
Yeah, processes I started talking about in a later episode, but yeah, it's a part of the whole thing anyway. This the temporary aspect is very important. It is a temporary organization, which means it has a defined start and end. This aspect is very important for small business owners who often tend to think that the project they have taken up lasts forever. It should not. In episode 2, we looked at role definitions of project board members. Project manager handles the day-to-day aspects of the project, while the project board directs the project. And the project board follows manage by exception principle. They are not supposed to be concerned about the day-to-day aspects of the project, but they are supposed to handle by exception. When something exceptional happens, I mean, that's the PRINCE2 definition. When something exceptional happens, the project board is supposed to be made aware of that. They are supposed to be looking out for such things and then take appropriate action. So manage by exception, whereas the project manager handles the day-to-day activities.
Those folks all look like millennials. A demographic in our society that's getting more and more attention. I've been reading a lot of things about millennials.
In episode 3, we talked about project plan, why it is important, how it is created, and what does it look like. In this episode, I also talked about a project that I was personally involved in while working for Tata Infotech in India. In this episode, I shared some wisdom from Seth Godin. In his book, The Icarus Deception, Seth Godin says, safest thing you can do is take a risk, or what feels like a risk. And the riskiest thing you can do is play it safe. Let me come back into your view. I shall pin David. And David, please share what you thought of these first few episodes.
Well, it certainly laid the groundwork, and as I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it in the first episode or not, in a private discussion with you, and maybe in an HOA that I actually did with you on my HOA, I mentioned that when you first introduced PRINCE2 to me and the mind map, I said, oh my goodness, where do I fit in this thing? But one of the things that you have done a wonderful job is to break it down into its different aspects of PRINCE2, and then take that mind map. The mind map has made much more sense as the weeks go on, and I had to stay in there the whole time just to figure all that out, Vivek.
Yeah, one of the key aspects is actually the fact that the whole process, much of what I talked about is actually handled by project manager. Much of what is done is handled. As I said, it's part of his or her day-to-day activities, project manager, whereas the project board does things only when it is required. Their time is very valuable, so they will not be involved every day. No.
And I think too, I'm sure I did because, well, first of all, we know Seth. He likes to makes very, very provocative thoughts about things, and he's the only one that I know that could make the statements that he makes. I mean, when you hear a Seth Godin statement, I mean, he's the only one in the world that can make the statement just because of the way his mind works, and I think I'm sure because I see the word risk in there, I started to talk about my perception of risk, and I think I'm probably pretty close to what Seth believes about risk because I've lived my entire life as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, not even thinking about risk. To me, risk, so to speak, is a way of life.
Yeah.
I mean, you do things, and if you want to step back, and that's not to say you don't step back and say, okay, what's the upside, what's the downside? That's an important mindset that you have to get into. But if you look at the world and new ideas and changes, and if you look at those in terms of them being risk, if you look at it with the mindset of risk, you'll never get anything done.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be a risk, and so no, I don't want a risk.
Yeah. That actually segues into what's going to be one of the upcoming HOAs, David.
Exactly why I said it. and we should explain that was unrehearsed.
It's one of the characters in one of the stories that we'll be talking about, which worries so much about the risk that the character doesn't go anywhere. But anyway, that you'll have to watch that episode.
We won't tell them which number so they can watch every week and find it.
No, it's the forthcoming one. It's not.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we are going to have a episode, and William Rock is working hard to get lots of people interested in it, and he has already got quite a interesting response. So yeah, I think we are onto something there. Anyway, yeah.
Is that the one we're going to tie in with the book or not?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That's all we'll say about it.
Yeah, from episode 4, I started using Star Trek Enterprise, the next generation, as story of the day to illustrate my point for the episode. In this episode of my HOA, it was risk management. The episode that I selected was had to do with the humans colonizing some planet and so on. So um, in this episode, we see that humanity thrives in the face of insurmountable odds. We do it by managing risks effectively. And again, with this episode, I started using the mind map software extensively, and I explained risk management or risk theme, as PRINCE2 calls it, using this mind map here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the last screen, you had high risk equals high returns.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean consistently the higher the risk, the higher the return? So the more risk there is, the more potential return there is?
Yeah.
Okay. If for no other reason, that's why we should forget about risk. Just go for the returns on the investment.
Yeah.
Forget about the risk.
It's the case where, I mean, it's if we were thinking that standing on our 2 feet was too risky, then we would have, the human race would never have gotten off. I mean, we would have still be on.
We probably started to talk about in that episode, and it's a very important part of the discussions that I like to talk about. Is we probably said some of that fear comes with fear of failure, and then use the word failure. I know we talked about it in one of the episodes. Probably we started to talk about it in that episode, because people will look at the risk factor and they'll say, "Geez, I won't succeed. I'll fail." And as I explained, the failure comes in not going after the high risk. It's not the failure is not in achieving your high returns that you get when you go after a high risk. The failure is not trying and going for the high risk. Because let's not kid ourselves. That's what entrepreneurship is really all about. When you are an entrepreneur, and if you're going to be successful, you have to bring typically something new to the marketplace. If it's old to the marketplace, it's probably not going to work. It's new thinking, some new ideas, a new product, some new innovation. And is there risk in that? Well, yeah, if you stop and say, okay, there's risk and I'm not going to do it because there's risk, then nothing would ever get done. Okay, enough of that.
Yeah. In episode 5, which handled change management, I quoted Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world.
I love it. It's one of my favorite quotes of all of his is that particular one.
I also used the prize story from Star Trek Enterprise, TNG. This is one where a wormhole is believed to be a great project, but turns out to be worthless. In this episode, I also introduced you to how the Ferengi, an alien race, treat the competition and actually get themselves into trouble because they treat everyone as their competition, don't trust anyone, think that they know everything, and get into trouble. That's the major aspect of that particular episode of Star Trek. And I used this mind map to explain how change is handled in PRINCE2. Oh, I have you blue boxed. Okay, this is the mind map I was talking about. Let me unblue box so that it goes automatic. It's a change. In episode 6, I used Star Trek TNG story, The Defector, to illustrate how progress is monitored in PRINCE2 project using this mind map. In episode 7, I used the Star Trek TNG episode entitled Peak Performance. This story explains different management styles and a great leadership style. I can't remember the exact quote, but Seth Godin once said, managers will only manage what you already have, whereas the leaders will create something completely new. They would take you to places to where, I mean, you'll be taken to where you have never been before. So they are adventurous. They take the team with them. So he was talking about differences between leadership and leaders and managers. In this Star Trek episode, which I covered in episode 7, Jean-Luc Picard is a great leader. We can see his leadership qualities. He supports his people who work under him. He has all trust in them, and he assumes that they will do their best, and they actually do because of the trust. Again, in this episode of Star Trek, we also see the Ferengi. And we also see Mr. Kolrami, who is a master strategist who thinks of all different strategies and so on, but he then gets defeated by Data in a game of strategy. Because Data follows a different strategy, entirely different strategy. I mean, he thinks differently, that's why. I used this mind map to explain how PRINCE2 handles quality. In episode 8, I used Star Trek TNG episode, The Measure of a Man, to illustrate how same people play different roles in an organization. So under PRINCE2, you have different roles. They are not job descriptions as such. They they are not designations. They are not your job title as such. They are roles. You play a role. So in this Star Trek episode, you see different people taking on different roles. And I used this mind map to explain the organization theme of PRINCE2. We also had a celebrity author, Mr. Stefan Thomas, who has written Business Networking for Dummies book, which is a Amazon bestseller. He shared how he plays different roles as a networking director and as a member of a business networking group called as For Networking here in the UK. In episode 9, I mentioned that Albert Einstein gave the definition of insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if we do the same thing over and over again and expect something different to happen, then we must be mad. In this 9th episode, I used Star Trek TNG episode, Who Watches the Watchers? The one where different stages of evolution of civilization, and we also saw what would happen if things are tried too quickly. And I used this mind map to explain the different stages and processes. Episode 10, I used Star Trek TNG episode entitled The Arsenal of Freedom. This is the episode, David, where I started talking about processes and so on.
It's also the first one I think we saw Google Glass in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You really like this slide, don't you?
Well, it's it's probably what he's wearing, and I don't even remember how it went in the episodes, but conceptually it's probably the same type of thing that Google Glass is trying to do today. I mean, obviously we wear something in a glass kind of fashion, and it does whatever the technology allows it to do. But I love that picture.
Yeah. So this is the mind map showing all of the 7 processes as defined by PRINCE2, and we covered 2 processes each in this and episode 11 and 12, and episode 13 covered the remaining process. As such, viewers may want to look at the links that are visible on the showcase app and click on different links and see what the episode does and get more information. These are the 2 mind maps for directing project process and starting up project process, which was covered in episode 10. These are the mind maps for initiating project process and managing stage boundary process, which was covered in episode 11. In episode 12, I used a story, The Offspring, to illustrate the importance of stage monitoring each stage. Heidi Hornlein, I hope I have not spoiled her second name, but Heidi was our honored guest in this episode, but David Leopold was unfortunately unable to join during this episode due to some computer problems.
I was going to say I was the dishonored guest. I was watching in the stream, just couldn't. I know we had all, which is the beauty of and the challenges of what we do. I mean, we're using technology. The technology that we're using is the greatest communication technology ever conceived, ever executed. But it's, you know, like, it's technology. Sometimes it doesn't work, and so you just have to kind of go with the flow and go to Plan B, or sometimes Plan C, or Plan D, and but actually too is kind of interesting. Not only was I not able to join that HOA for whatever the reason, Heidi's volume, if I remember correctly, was kind of low.
Yeah. And you did comment on the event stream, and for different reasons, I could not see the event page at all. As a matter of fact,
we were having a day that day, weren't we, Vivek?
Yeah.
But she was making some very provocative thoughts from what I could hear, but I couldn't hear everything. So actually, I told her that it'd be really wonderful if she could timestamp what she said and put it into the event stream. So that would be good. But anyway,
I have since edited that particular episode and increased her volume, and yeah, that's the one that you would see now on the showcase.
Instead of Scott treatment, you did the Vivek treatment. Watch out, Scott. To that point, just a little break here. He's showed me some new technology that he's doing, some new film editing, and oh my goodness, it is unbelievable from a presentation standpoint. Just taking the content and then presenting the content in the most novel way I've ever seen. He just showed me some, because I'm taking a look at that approach for book publishing that we're going to be doing in our community, for an HOA magazine that we're going to publish in the community. But boy, we're going to really have to put PRINCE2 process into place, and because we're going to get more people involved, and the more people you have, the more reason you need to have the PRINCE2 process in place, because once again it defines who does what. There's an element of accountability within those, and you say, okay, where should we be in the process today? What stage should we be at today? And PRINCE2 tells you exactly where you should be today.
Yes. Mark Perashi is viewing, I think.
He's trying to. He's made some interesting comments, and I'm not quite. Mark's a friend of mine, and he pinged me while the HOA was going on, and I saw it, so I invited him into the HOA, and he made a comment.
Yeah, I actually mentioned this I should have mentioned it more clearly, but if you, Mark, if you're still watching, hope you are. If you look at the photo that I had shared, but that's on the event page. Sorry. If you look at the box with an arrow pointing out at the top right-hand corner of your screen, then it would pop out, and that allows you to view both the event page as well as the video.
Ah, that's what you told me when we were getting started.
Yes.
And with my memory, I forgot to communicate that message to Mark. I'm sorry. That's why you need to avoid the cowboys and hire the Indians.
Coming back, yeah, to the episode 12. was actually aired soon after the Indians put their Mars orbiter mission, MOM for short, successfully around Mars. So if not me, you definitely have more reasons to hire Indians.
You're okay. You do okay. I'd have no problem hiring you for anything technology, Vivek. No problem whatsoever.
These are the mind maps for control stage process and manage product delivery processes, which were covered in that episode. In episode 13, I used Star Trek TNG episode entitled "Where No One Has Gone Before" to illustrate effectiveness of project and importance of closing a project. And Mark Firashi has found, he has pulled it into a different tab, and he can now hear and interact.
He has better than a average working knowledge of technology. He does a lot of stuff on Google himself.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff too, but my working knowledge is
because it keeps changing, and it still is. You are still keeping pace, David. Don't.
I know how to do the things that I know how to do, and if I have to do it, I have any questions about it, I know who to call to help me to get it fixed, or who to ping. We don't call anymore, do we?
Yeah, we do messaging and so on. Yeah, so this is a mind map of the closing project process. And again, I need to do a screen share and pin David once again. David, go ahead. Share your thoughts.
I have so many thoughts going on right now, Vivek. I don't know which one is the most important, but that's kind of an interesting. I mean, there's nothing that we can really read on that. There we go. Now we can actually see what's going on. But it looked once again the way you explain it and the way it all makes logical sense. It's
yeah, this is the mind map which we covered in the previous episode.
Last week.
Yeah. And all episodes are available on my website at www.wake-technology.com/hangouts/prince2.html and on my YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Wake Tech Integra, all one word as shown here. It would be really helpful if you click on the subscribe button and also click on the like button so that I would know to produce what you like most. We have now come actually to share experiences section, and it's been nearly an hour now. So this as such, this episode itself, this slide itself needs an episode on its own. I think, shall we do that, David?
Well, either that, or I was going to suggest that we take, even if we create a hypothetical business case and maybe take, well, you and I started to do it, and we're continuing to do it, development of a website as the the project objective.
Mm.
And because every business needs some type of internet presence, whatever they choose is best for them. So maybe if we create, or we can use Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter. Just something where people can identify, and we apply all these different principles, and they can then bring it closer to home for them and better understand it. So I think that's what we need to do. Whether or not we use this graphic to do it, or we go back and get into more so the mind map. That'll be your decision. What you think is best.
Can do both. In fact, I could. In the next episode, what I would like to do is look at this graphic that I am showing now.
Sure.
And also use a mind map to explain each aspect. The graphic is probably too small because there are lot of eye symbols here. I don't think you can see them clearly, but they all represent different things. There are lots of icons here on this graphic. And different levels and so on. So yeah, I think we need to do that. It's time for me to get back into the view. David?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, well, you were waiting for me to talk. Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought you were frozen or something.
No, I'm sorry. Actually, I don't have too much more to share. I mean, I've been sharing a lot more than I typically do in one of our episodes. All I'm saying, the information I would like to share is how very, very important the concept is, and if you can follow PRINCE2 in your daily business to achieve the project objectives of your business, you'll stay right on track. And we have a tendency to get off track all too often, but for sure, PRINCE2 will keep you on track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To steal a phrase from our friend Jason Weiser, on track.
Yeah. Next week, as I said, coming up next week is I would talk about this graphic, and probably it would be I would cover one entire project from beginning till end, all processes, all triggers, everything that happens. I would cover that without going into details of any of them, because we have covered details in all these episodes so far. That's what I would be doing in the next episode. And we have come to the end of this episode. Any closing thoughts, David?
No, I think I've said my piece today. Thank you. It's been I love the summary, because it took me back to each one of the pieces, each one of the episodes, and I reflected upon what I remembered. And obviously, with you going back and summarizing, you're pulling the very key point out of those discussions. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and because since I have used this showcase app, even from YouTube, when you start the YouTube recording, As soon as you start, it would show you a little window at the bottom of the screen. If you click that, you would be able to again open the showcase links on the right hand side, and you would be able to jump to any of them as and when you want, and so on. So that's the whole point.
Wow. So and they're actually hot links.
Yes, they are.
Oh my goodness, what a great I don't know if you told me that and I wasn't paying close attention, but that's wonderful functionality.
Yeah. So that comes at a price of having to explain to everyone that you need to click that pop-out window at the top right corner to remain on the event page and all that. But anyway,
Do you think it's time for us to do a tutorial, Vivek?
yeah, we can do that.
Let's do a tutorial on it.
Yeah. Um, in any case, it's time for me to close this show. I'm sure you would want to know more. There will be more, and there will be few more different shows. Thank you for watching this show. Do please share the link to this show on Google Plus and YouTube and so on. You can reach me through my Google Plus profile or through my website, wake-technology.com. My closing comments are integrate, simplify life, and may the cheese be with you. Thank you.